The race for AI is as deadly serious as the race for nuclear weapons was. The world that is coming, and the world that is coming, I think, is such a fundamental change.
Broader sense of the term, Minister. You know, it is more often than not, it is said that in the typology of growth, perhaps the choices which were made by India in first emphasizing the primary sector, then moving on to the secondary and tertiary sector, it generally believed that the great moments when manufacturing could have been given higher priority. Somehow or the other, we were latecomers in not exactly being part of that fast-moving bus. Technology has now overtaken in many ways, and therefore countries are revisiting this whole issue of the credibility of global supply chain and how reliable they can be. And so looking forward, how do you see this kind of a balance between, on the one hand, India trying to, so to say, for purposes of employment, catching the missed manufacturing bus with the onslaught of technology in a seamless way?
Well, I think you put your finger on it, but I would actually perhaps broaden it out even more. Because from a governance perspective, I think a lot of our challenges are how do you simultaneously address the legacy issues of the past, the challenges of the near past and the present, and the possibilities of the future. Now, I'd give you very concrete examples. You know, we are still in many ways looking at, issues relating to health, to nutrition, to literacy, which eventually impinge on the quality of human resources. Now, there are other countries in this continent who prioritized many of those issues ahead of us, who were willing to make that kind of political and resource commitment, for example, to literacy, and have reaped the benefits of it. So I would say before we missed, or we were late, missed the manufacturing bus, I think we were also late in boarding the literacy bus. And I'm giving you literacy only. I mean, I'm not even talking universal primary health, for example. So today we are still, I mean, if you look at the achievements of the last decade, if you say from the multidimensional poverty index, we've got 250 million people out. Yes, it's great, but it's something which ideally actually previous governments and previous dispensations should have done. It should have left us in a much better position than having to deal with problems which others had sorted out before. I mean, the same would apply in many of the big initiatives we are doing, piped water, electricity, etc. I mean, these ideally should have been tackled by now. Okay, it doesn't matter, we've inherited it, we are now dealing with it. Now, the manufacturing, I would say, is the near past and in a way the present. Yes, I think, missed the manufacturing bus, the kind of opportunities we could have had much earlier. If you had done the earlier bit right, would have positioned you well. And I think it's important to recognize, because without, a large country which doesn't have manufacturing is not in the right position then to deal with technology. If it is our assumption, rightly, that we are looking today into a different world, a world which is much more tech-centric, then that kind of contribution and that kind of benefit you cannot reap if you don't have an industrial culture, and that kind of industrial culture won't come if you don't have the manufacturing. So if you see the totality today of what the government, the Modi government is trying to do, you are looking at the quality of human resources, very basic things from nutrition onwards to housing. You are looking at the kind of infrastructure. We also missed the infrastructure bus. That catching up on infrastructure, doing, one of the big decisions taken in these first 100 days of the government was to create 12 big industrial zones in this country and tie that up with appropriate infrastructure. And then we are pushing this skilling, through skill programs and internships so that you have the HR accompaniment of that. So you have to get the manufacturing, you have to get the HR, you've got to get the infrastructure, you've got to get the global capability centers and the joint ventures coming in, because all of this will add up to position you for the world that is coming. And the world that is coming, I think, is such a fundamental change that, at least, I know this is an economic conclave, but I would say, as someone in international relations, AI is probably going to be the most profound factor in the global order, probably since nuclear weapons came. That the race for AI is as deadly serious as the race for nuclear weapons was. And whoever has the lead on that is actually going to have an enormous benefit in the global order.